Who's your biggest role model, would you say?
My biggest role model right now. Who's alive?
Well, it could be alive or dead.
I'm Muslim, so I'd say Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, yeah? But right now, someone who does kind of inspire me, and this is kind of controversial, Andrew Tate.
Oh my, you were doing so well.
You know what?
You were doing so well.
Hey, I'm Secular Spirit, and if you've missed out on this latest bizarre pop culture phenomenon, you might be wondering who Andrew Tate is, and why the interviewer was so disappointed when he heard that name. Lastly, you might be wondering why that Muslim was so embarrassed to mention that Tate inspires him. Well, I personally hadn't even heard of Andrew Tate myself until I was hanging out with some younger male friends in the summer, and they started making jokes about who the top G amongst us was. When I pleaded ignorance about this reference, they laughed. They explained top G was this guy called Andrew Tate.
I'm top G. And while we're on the subject, I want to state here and now, that's what makes me such a fantastic individual.
Who's Andrew Tate, I asked. Their reply, he's this guy who says controversial things to get attention. I was still a bit confused, so I asked, what does Andrew Tate do exactly? As in, like, what's his job? How does he make money? And as much as they were sort of fans of him, the weird thing is they didn't know how to answer that question. But I did get an illuminating comment from another friend during that conversation. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially explained that Andrew Tate says things that are perfectly accepted and normal in most of the world, but are offensive to the delicate sensibilities of the PC culture in the West. And that sparked a debate on whether or not Tate actually believed the things he said, or if he was just joking. So my inner anthropologist was intrigued, so I did some research. Andrew Tate is a former pro kickboxer who then transitioned to becoming a reality TV star of sorts.
Andrew is in the diary room talking about his work as an undercover other.
My unmatched perspicacity, coupled with my sheer indefatigability, makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor.
Since then, he's moved on to his current status as some sort of vague success coach, marketing guru, influencer, while also being involved in an online academy called Hustlers University. Basically, if you subscribe for $50 a month, you're supposedly educated in how to start making money online in things like cryptocurrency. To entice followers, Tate flaunts his wealth in various promotional videos, presenting himself as a template of success that anyone who subscribes can emulate. Hustlers University also had a now defunct marketing program that was described by some as a pyramid scheme. If you signed up, you could earn commissions by signing up new members yourself. The recommended method to recruit those new members? Post videos of Tate on your social media. And his approach worked. Boosted by his marketing program, videos of Tate started appearing everywhere this past summer. And at one point, he was getting more Google searches than Donald Trump, Kim Kardashian, and even the word COVID-19. So why is Tate so controversial? Why was that Muslim embarrassed to say he's inspired by him? Well, it's basically the things he says.
I didn't even decide. I realized yesterday that I can actually, genuinely, right now, nothing is stopping me from becoming Batman. Nothing. I have a Batcave.
Okay, yep.
I have an Alfred.
Okay.
I have a Batmobile, a Bugatti.
Yep.
I can fight.
Yep.
Rich as fuck.
We can afford body armor and all the crap that
all
Batman
the crap,
needs.
can buy it all. I'm charismatic. There is nothing stopping me putting on a suit and being Batman.
I mean, if 12 tigers attack me and I manage to defeat 11 in unarmed combat with my Aikido and the last tiger gets my neck, that's a fine way for Tate to die.
You cheater, you cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch! I believe I can hurt any man on the planet, and that's why people are afraid of me. And you believe depression is a crippling disease, and that's why you're afraid of it.
What would you do if I wanted to start an OnlyFans?
I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with women doing OnlyFans, as long as I had influence and control over it.
What do you mean? Doing a bit of photographer and get the angles, yeah?
No. I'm not doing any real work, but just like taking all the money.
Tate appears to be the worst possible stereotype of a traditionalist when it comes to the roles of men and women in society. A self-described sexist and misogynist, Tate has referred to women as property and has said things like he finds 18-year-old women more attractive than 25-year-olds because they've been through less. And women should shut the F up, have kids, sit at home, be quiet, and make coffee. Soon after his peak in popularity, accusations of misogyny and encouraging violence against women against Tate got banned from Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Which brings us to the question, with all the things being said about Tate, how could a Muslim like the one in that TikTok clip possibly find him inspiring? A thing to note here is that a sizable chunk of Tate's following is comprised of young males, with that Muslim being one example. In some of the clips I've watched, I can see why Tate could appeal to young Muslim men, much in the same way that they may be drawn to strong masculine types like Joe Rogan, or those who don't follow the PC status quo like Jordan Peterson. A lot of young men feel like they have no place in this world. In our materialist society, they're taught that success is achieved through materialist gains. A high-paying salary, an expensive car, fancy houses, stock portfolios. And it's through these kinds of things that you also get attention from women. So in many young men's minds, they work hard doing jobs they often don't like, at workplaces that treat them like they're expendable, spending countless hours commuting to work, just being stuck in traffic. They feel like they've done their part, and yet they don't get the attention they feel they deserve and that they desire from women. And so they feel empty and worthless, bitter and frustrated. So in reality, there could be many reasons why they aren't getting that attention, some of which may be legitimately unfair or out of their control. In many young Muslim men's minds, and let's talk about the ones who live in the West specifically here, they see all these problems in their lives where they don't fit into society because of their background, because of real legacies of racism and colonialism. And when they try to play the part they've been taught to play, they feel like they get nothing in return. Instead of focusing on the massive financial inequities in the world, the ongoing impacts of racism, the hyper-focus on materialism and work, they decide to target women and feminism and how they've supposedly corrupted traditional family values and destabilized society.
I don't think the world has ever been equal. That the modern society we live in has been built by men. Let's cut the crap. All the roads you see, all the buildings you see, everything around you, men built. All of it. When women come along and say, oh, we're just as important, you are just as important, but you had a completely different role. You fulfilled a different role in society. And I think now, if you look at the roles of society, I believe men are still doing their job, but I don't know if women are doing their job. Men are still out here building the modern world. But when they come home now, the girl's like, oh, why should I cook for you?
Time is extremely important as a man. That needs to be dedicated towards world conquest. There's no need to prepare food. Either order some food, which can be done very cheaply and very healthily. You can get rotisserie chicken in a bag of salad for like $4. Bang, done. Or instruct a female to provide sustenance. Cook.
The simple and I would say obvious reality is that the kind of man that Tate talks about is one that the Islamic tradition praises. A man who is assertive, confident, masculine. A man who stamps out his own weakness. Someone with a traditionalist perspective on the roles of men and women, separate yet equal. Muslim men who feel lost or unheard believe a return to celebrating these values will improve their lives and get them good Muslim wives. But at the same time, Tate doesn't exemplify a lot of other traits that the Islamic tradition praises for men. Things like compassion, humility, empathy, and kindness. And these traits seem to be forgotten if you think about what role models are highlighted as inspirations by young Muslim men these days.
Well, I have a flag that you can replace your flag with. Take this Uyghur flag, you son of a... Takbir! I tell you today, you have nothing to offer the world.
Based on what exactly is a God, the necessary being? Explain it to me.
Again, King Cream in here. Don't be jealous.
Based on what
Hey,
exactly is
mashallah.
God, the necessary being?
MashaAllah. Sorry?
And of course, there are Muslims who've denounced any sort of comparison between Tate and Islam, with one female Muslim journalist arguing that the principles that were important to the Prophet Muhammad are not similar to what Andrew Tate espouses. But let's play a little game. I'm going to share some quotes, and you've got to guess whether it was the Prophet Muhammad or Andrew Tate who said it. A nation will never succeed if it makes a woman its ruler. After me, I've left no trial more severe to men than women. You shouldn't whip your wife like a slave, because you might have sex with her later that night. A woman comes to you and leaves you in the shape of a devil, And last one, if a woman who wails dies without repenting, Allah will cut a garment of tar for her and a shirt of flaming fire. Now, okay, the last one was obviously Muhammad, but what about the rest? Trick question. They're all from hadiths by Muhammad. And I'm sure Tate would agree with most of them, even though that last one may be too extreme, even for him. To go back to that clip we watched at the beginning of this video, the person interviewing that Muslim says something interesting when the name Andrew Tate comes up.
You were doing so well.
Was he though? The interviewer said this, of course, referring to when the Muslim initially mentioned his biggest role model was Muhammad. There's this perception both within and outside of Islam that Muhammad is someone who must be automatically respected and revered. And while a lot of positive things have been attributed to Muhammad, a lot of toxic things have been attributed to him too. And here's my mantra that I repeat time and time again on this channel. The problem with Islam is that you've got to take the good with the bad. It's a package deal. Either Muhammad was the prophet of God and a role model for all humanity, or he isn't. If you accept that he is, then you gotta find some way to rationalize the toxic things he said according to Islamic tradition. Or you absorb and believe those toxic things yourself. Islam is filled with misogyny, which is why it's not surprising to me that a young Muslim man would be inspired by Andrew Tate. Tate enables the toxic masculinity young men feel are the answers to all their problems, and blames women and or their own weakness for their failures. Obviously, the reason you aren't getting a good woman is because they're all bad, or because you're being weak and you're not imposing your power and will on them. As I film this video, it appears that Andrew Tate's moment in the sun is coming to an end. But Islam and Muhammad are still going strong 1400 years later. Muslim fanhood for Andrew Tate is a symptom for a problem within Islam itself, a traditionalist viewpoint on society that subjugates and villainizes the woman as an enemy, an obstacle that must be defeated and overcome unless she accepts her place alongside all those virgins up there in paradise.
Islam fixes a lot of the problems that men are currently facing. The problems we're discussing on this show, Islam fixes all of them.
You were doing so well.
I'm Secular Spirit, and thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel for more content like this.